it gets overwhelming when you look too far down that road because you think, I can't make it that many steps.
Yeah.
Just focus on the step right now. Welcome to the Iron Mind Podcast. Join me, Josh Brumley, as we explore the minds of those who forged their paths through legal battles, business triumphs, and creative conquests. We uncover the stories behind their iron wills and innovative minds. Get ready for thought-provoking conversations, practical insights, and actionable advice. This is the Iron Mind Podcast. Today we're here with Isaac Nair, an aspiring law student who currently works at Brumley Law Firm. He's hoping to gain experience while he prepares for law school. We'll talk with Isaac about the process of getting into law school and share insights about his daunting process and how he can make his way in the world of law. Welcome to the show, Isaac.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. You know, I've watched a lot of your podcasts. And
I appreciate that, and I appreciate that you're currently being paid to be here. So I guess you don't have much of a choice.
That's the best part.
Awesome, man. Well, why don't you, for everyone else, just kind of talk about where you're at with the process, your undergrad, the LSATs, everything that someone who's interested in a career in law school but doesn't know where to begin, what they need to know.
Yeah. Right now, I am in the process of taking the LSAT. I've taken it twice. Obviously didn't like my score, but I am trying to take it again. So that's part of why I'm here at Brumley Law Firm, to try to gain more experience as to when I do go to law school. I feel like it'll prepare me a little bit better.
I think so too, man. And thank you for sharing that you have taken it twice. I actually took it twice as well. I didn't like my score the first time. And the second time I still didn't do great, but I was like, whatever, let's roll with it. But a lot of people, I think, get discouraged after taking it one time and not being happy with their score.
Yeah.
And that's really important to me, that you've shown that even though it's really defeating to not get the score that you want the first time around, that you're not willing to just give up on that. And that's really important, man. And I think a lot of people need to hear that. And that's a big reason why we had you on the show, is to kind of encourage people the way, you know, hopefully I'm encouraging you to take a leap and invest in themselves and to do the work and create a better life for themselves. Because honestly, I can't imagine doing anything else. I love this job. I love being your boss and telling you what to do all day long. No, I love running a law firm. I love the act of being a lawyer. I love the business side of it. And maybe some people don't know that they'll love it. I didn't know what to expect. Yeah. And so I want this to kind of be like us mutually sharing. And you tell me, like, down the road, what are things that you want to know, or questions that maybe we've already discussed that we can discuss on camera here, so other people can benefit from the answers to the questions that you have access to just by walking down the hallway.
Yeah. That sounds great. But I want to ask you, what got you into law? Because I know you've got your business degree, plus you've got your MBA. Yep. So you had all this business experience. Why law?
So my dad left my mom when she was pregnant, and I was raised by a single mom. And when my mom brought me up, I knew nothing about my father. And when I turned 21, I looked him up on like the internet. And I found him and I called him, and he was a lawyer. Oh. And he offered, because at that time I was at UW Tacoma, he offered I was going to stop going to school because my financial aid was going to run out. My mom was getting married, and your financial aid, your FAFSA, it goes off your parents' income until you're 25. Dang. So I was going to lose out on FAFSA because my mom was getting married to some guy that I barely knew. It didn't seem fair, but that's the rules about FAFSA. Yeah. So at the same point that was all going on, I found this guy and was like, hey, you're my dad. And he and I started texting a lot, and he offered to actually pay for me to complete undergrad. Dang. And it was like the perfect time in my life for that to have occurred. And I didn't ask for it, but he was just like, it's really hard if you stop going to school to go back to school. Like, don't stop. What can I do? And I was like, well, I don't have the money to pay tuition. Just cut a check. You know, I work at Fred Meyer, man. Like it was a different life ago. And he said, well, what if I paid for your tuition and books? And I said, well, what if I want to go to law school someday? And he said, I'd
Mhm.
love for you to go to law school. And so really that was the impetus for me, like taking the chance on law school, because I didn't know this guy at all. And when I met him, even though my mom raised me and I was like 21 at the time,
Yeah.
um, I was like so much like this guy. I was so much like this stranger that I had
Yeah.
never met before. And that's what he did for work. So I was like, well, if it worked for him and like everything about this guy, I'm like a little clone of him. It's so weird because I'd never met him and like our sense of humor is the same. And I'm
Yeah.
just, you've met my mom.
Yeah.
I'm not especially like my mom.
No,
She's a
yeah.
different kind of character, and for better or worse, you
Yeah.
know? And so I think that that was really what pushed me down this route, was not, you know, some desire at a young age to be a lawyer, but really like something way later in life that I was like, hey, I've always been really interested in business, and you know, lawyers are really successful. At least that's what they say on TV and on movies and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And so I just was like, that seems cool. Let
Mhm.
me try that out.
Yeah.
And finished undergrad at UW with a degree in business, and took the LSAT,
Mhm.
and then got into law school in Florida. And I remember flying to Florida, moving my whole life down there after getting accepted
Yeah.
to a fourth tier college, but I'm here.
Hey,
Um,
doesn't matter.
doesn't matter, dude. Get the degree.
Yeah.
Um, so I got into this school. I'm flying down there, and I have no idea what being a lawyer is going to be like. I have
Yeah.
no clue. And I remember thinking, this might be the stupidest thing I've ever done. I'm literally moving my entire life. I quit my job. I quit my bands. I left all my friends behind, and I didn't know anyone in that whole state, and just rolled the dice.
Yeah.
But it was truly the best decision I've ever made. And I think a lot of lawyers try to talk people out of being a lawyer
Mhm.
or out of going to school, or maybe they want to keep their employees where they are and
Yeah.
not, you know, invest in them. And I've just always been the opposite kind of person.
Absolutely.
I want more people doing this,
Yeah.
breaking barriers from generations of people not going to college, and changing their lives, man. This is like
Yeah.
the most freedom I've ever had. And
Yeah.
every day hanging out with you and the rest of the
Yeah.
staff, it's just fun.
Yeah.
I
It
really
is.
enjoy it.
I think I want to touch on like one of the parts that you just talked about, like just taking that risk. Like you didn't know what it was like to go to law school or like anything that you're doing, and you're left everything behind. And that's just that jump that you have to take in order to like, benefit yourself and try to level up your life,
Yeah.
and that's just a part of life. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's what I'm doing right now. Like coming from like South Seattle and not being able to, have the same resources as others, like now I'm just trying to create a resource for myself and just being able to, reach out to different kinds of people. Like I never knew I was going to work at a law firm, but
Yeah,
look at
man.
me now. I'm
Look
under
at
the
you now,
I'm
bro.
under the greatest attorneys in Washington.
Right
You heard it
here.
here first.
You heard it
Yeah.
here. I'll drink to
Yeah.
that.
But yeah, it's been a great journey. I think definitely being under you and having all the people here at Brumley Law Firm, it's definitely opened my mind as to what I want to do with my law degree. Originally, I wanted to become a sports agent, and I'm not going to stray away from that, but I might take a different route than that, but it's definitely opened my mind as to how to run a business as well. So yeah,
It's been really cool,
Yeah.
man, having you here. And I think that that's it's part of like growing up, you know, taking that
Yeah.
risk and gambling on yourself. And I
Yeah.
think what was hard for me was like, man, if I move away for 3 years, all my friends are going to be gone. They're all going to be like moved on and
Mhm.
doing other things. And I'm going to come home and be like so lonely.
Yeah.
And I came home every summer, and not to, you know, rip on my friends, but everyone was exactly where I left them. And, you
Yeah.
know, no one had really changed their life in
Mhm.
that year, from first year to second year, and from
Yeah.
second year to third year. And then I was home,
Yeah.
and then I was studying for the bar. And I think after becoming a lawyer, a lot of my friends were like, oh, I'm motivated now to go do something more. Josh left for 3 years and he came back, and now he's a lawyer, and he was like playing in bands with me 3 years ago. And
Yeah.
what have I shown after that? You know,
For
what have I
sure.
done? And
Yeah.
so um, just taking that risk on yourself, man, it's going to pay off. It's going to be
Yeah.
scary no matter what you do, whether it's
Yeah.
law school or something else.
Mhm.
But you have to do it. I
Yeah.
think that's no risk, no reward.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's something I have to practice myself of like, I'm young and that's not an excuse, but I do go out a lot and it's bad. So I kind of have to, just tone it down a little bit. Maybe not avoid it all the way, but
No,
definitely
there's
tone it down. So,
well, I just want to say, Isaac, that lots of people your age go out, but I've been very impressed that even though, we've had Brumley Law Firm events where everyone's partying really crazy, and then the next day you're at work, man.
right
You
here.
show up and you're still here, you're still with it, and you might not feel like being here, but that's what being an adult is about.
Yeah.
It's not don't go out, it's not
Yeah.
don't have fun. It's make sure that you can still meet your responsibilities
Yeah.
while managing a personal life.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to balance,
Mhm.
especially when you're young and your friends are like, "Oh, I'm off Monday, Tuesday." And you're like, "Bro, it's
I've
work
got
nights. I'm sorry." Yeah. But finding a way to balance that super important. I think a lot of people would benefit to hear how you manage that. Like what do you tell yourself when you got to be up in the morning for work, or for example, I know that you've been here 6 a.m., 7 a.m. to
Yeah.
do practice LSAT tests before work even starts.
Yeah.
How do you motivate yourself to do that when your friends are out, your buddies are playing video games or going to the bars during the
Yeah.
week?
Honestly, it starts with you because I like in all honesty, like I that's like the most genuine I could ever be. Like I've felt more supported being here from the support that's here. Like, like you, Elena, Dylan, and everybody else that's like helped me with being in law and just answering questions. Like even if they're stupid questions, like even
Just
if they're
leveling up.
yeah,
Yeah.
and everyone's really cool about like not showing their how higher up they are than you.
Yeah.
Everyone's at the same level here. And
Yeah.
so and I also think that everyone knowing that I'm gonna be hopefully going to law school.
You are.
Yeah, see see there it is, Exhibit
Change
A.
that mindset, man.
I'm going
That's
to law school.
powerful.
I'm
You
going to law
are.
school. Yeah, so I think it definitely comes from my support with my family, you guys, and just my friends as well. I think that's what gets me up every morning at 6 a.m. trying to get here, trying to be better, and that really ultimately motivates me. And the outcome after law school is also, the money part. That
It
does
changes
motivate
a
me as
lot,
well.
man. It changes a
Yeah.
lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen it.
What about like an athlete that you consider like an idol or an inspiration? Like can you share
Good
someone that
question.
inspires you outside of professional work, but someone who's just shown that they're a hard worker, and you don't see all the work that they put in behind the scenes. You see them on game day.
Yeah.
And so many athletes are working so hard. Is there someone that stands out to you?
I think this goes for everybody. Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, that Mamba mentality, that guy is different. Like I guess this is all hearsay, but he was always talking about how he woke up at 3 a.m. and he would go to workouts while everyone was out partying. And
Yeah.
that's super motivation because you saw that it went a long way after his whole career. He got 5 championships. He's made all these milestones, and
Yeah.
he was just that guy, and he was very motivational for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think especially after he tore his Achilles too, like he came back, like that's just hard work, and like that just showed his love and passion for it too. And I think that being an athlete myself kind of helped translate into taking the LSAT because it's always like, oh, if I have a bad game, I got to get the next one, and if I have a bad LSAT, then I have to get the next one. So that's kind of what kept me on the road
That's
too.
really interesting, man. I compared in my head a lot of what I was doing before law school and playing in bands
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
doing law stuff. And
Yeah.
and so maybe there's something to that. Maybe people who are listening to this need to draw inspiration from their regular life and say, "Hey, what's the big deal? It's
Yeah.
one LSAT score. Shake it off
Yeah.
and go to the next one and
Exactly.
go to the next one."
Mhm.
And you can't get better if you're not working hard at it.
Yeah.
And you can learn from your mistakes, or you can let them define you, and you just
Yeah.
can't let them define you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think especially like, I feel like we've both got kind of the same background growing up. I grew up with a single mom too, so that
Your mom's awesome, by the way.
yeah, she's
Shout out
great.
to Isaac's
She's
mom.
great. Hey, shout out to Josh's mom too. Our moms are great. Our moms are great. But yeah, that's a huge motivation as well. My mom's my number one supporter, as she probably is for you.
Man,
Your mom.
my mom, yeah, your mom has not supported me super openly,
No, for
but
sure.
maybe she could get on the game playing.
Yeah.
Our moms could hang out and
Yeah, they
both
probably
be
get
each
along.
other's. Yeah,
They
no,
probably would get
we
along.
joked about that. At one point, my mom made her Facebook picture a picture of me, and I'm one of 5 kids, so all my sisters are like, "What's
You're
the
the
deal here,
favorite.
mom? What's the deal?" So, shout out to my sisters. When I was studying for the LSAT, a big roadblock was it was like summertime. It was nice
Yeah.
weather.
Oh man.
People were trying to call me to do stuff, and I was still working.
Mhm.
And I had finished undergrad, but it was like, man, I don't even get to have a summer now.
Yeah.
And I just had to like really think about, if I sacrifice now, what's my life going to look like? Is that sort of your mentality as well? Like, what motivates you
Yeah.
to not be doing all the things that your friends are doing, to be up at 6 a.m.?
Well, it is very hard. I'm not gonna lie. It is very hard, and I actually live with 4 people. So, and they're all like pretty good friends of mine. So it's pretty hard trying to avoid them because I see them every day, every night. So
And they're like, bro, let's hop on
yeah,
Xbox.
exactly.
And you're like, nah, man.
No, but I mean, no, they're pretty good at supporting me as well. One of them is very loud at night, but you know, I'll keep that off.
Roommate life.
Yeah, roommate life.
One
man.
of them. We are not going to name any names.
We're not gonna say any names, but you know who you are. But anyway, no, but trying to just find that work-life balance, that's just pretty important. I think just being able to have a private space to myself without like living with my mom or anything, that kind of like helped me as well, kind of making me more independent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more okay on me to be alone, rather than depending on like bringing my problems to everyone. Now I could just like be by myself and just do what I have to do. And so every time I come home, it's just make food, go in my room and study.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
So you think that by living separate from your family, it kind of forced you to be more adult, like be
Yeah.
more responsible
Yeah.
and not dependent on other people
Yeah.
to fix whatever is wrong with your life. You're
Yeah.
like, I need to figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
and
great.
Yeah. I just felt like I definitely needed this. This is my first time moving out from away from my mom. So it's been a great experience while I had it. So what advice would you give kind of to the people that need to really just get away from the outside world and just hone in on what they need to do in life? What would you say the most important part, or anything that'll help them avoid that kind of stuff?
Like how to avoid FOMO.
Yeah.
So I honestly believe that you said it best, man. It has to come from within you. If you don't make the decision to commit to something, you'll never be able to do it the way that you hoped to. You know,
Yeah.
there's a level of commitment that has to be internal.
Yeah.
And without that, nothing anyone says will matter. No speech I could give, no discussion, about your life you could share will do anything but hopefully turn on that light switch for someone. And that's what changes things, when they make that commitment. So, sharing your story, sharing my story, hopefully that turns on that light switch for enough people that it makes a difference to them. But there's a lot of resources, and people just have to take initiative. They just have to find them. When I met you, you were an intern at a different law firm. You had completed your internship and you were trying to find work.
Yeah.
And I knew who you were as a person. I didn't know you as an employee yet, but I was like, I like him as a person.
Yeah.
I want that guy to learn what we're about here.
Yeah.
And that's how I hire. Because I think that personality means a lot, and I
Yeah.
see a lot of that hard work ethic in you, and you just didn't have, any time with me working at that other law firm. And so I was like, I really want to get to know this guy better. I think he should work for the firm. And we created that position for you that you're excelling at, that
Yeah.
we've never had before. And it's going to be really sad to lose you for law school,
Oh.
but there's going to be some junior varsity Isaac who's
Yeah.
going to come through that you're going to be like, listen, man, I'm going to put you on game. I'm going to teach you how to do settlement guardian ad
Yep.
litem petitions. And they're going to be like, what is that? You're going to sound like a genius. And when you look back at, I mean, you've been here, what, 6 months?
5.
5 months, not even
Yeah,
6 months,
not
man.
even 6 months,
When you
yeah.
look back 5 months ago, what you knew, having that text message conversation with
Yeah.
me, when I was like, have you ever filed a motion? You're like, sorta. And what you know now,
Yeah.
it's night and day different.
Bro, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
The amount of stuff that I've learned here, it's way more than what I've learned in my undergraduate.
Yeah.
Like my 4 years in college, I've learned more here than my undergraduate degree, and it's crazy.
I think it's so valuable to, even if someone who's listening to this, if you have any interest in law, go do an internship somewhere, like
Yeah.
what you did at
Yeah.
the other firm,
Mhm.
and just kind of be around lawyers, be around paralegals, be
Yeah.
around legal assistants, and
Mhm.
understand what these roles are and what these jobs are, and see if it's for you before you have to roll the dice on a paralegal degree or the LSAT or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then when you know, it's going to be easier to make that commitment
Mhm.
because you know that
Yeah.
this is something that you want.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be working this hard if it was just a maybe.
Yeah.
You know, that's why you got to change your mindset when you're talking about maybe I'll go to law school. No,
Yeah.
man, you're going to law school.
I'm going.
What
I'm
law
going.
school might not be Harvard, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I didn't go to
For
Harvard.
sure.
I know one person that went to Harvard.
Oh, dang.
Shout out to her, but whatever. I'm happy. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be Harvard, bro. You just need to get in somewhere,
Mhm.
get your degree, pass the bar, and then take the next steps after that. But
Yeah.
just it gets overwhelming when you look too far down that road
Mhm.
because you think I can't make it that many steps.
Yeah.
Just focus on the step right now.
Yeah.
And that step right now is how can I do my best on the LSAT? And that means taking time away from Xbox and partying and just focus on yourself. Focus
Yeah.
on that growth and focus on those studies, and everything's going to work out for you, man. The future's real bright.
If you don't mind, I want to talk about like changing the perspective of a law job. Like a lot of people think it's boring, you're just filing and doing all this stuff. No, you're solving problems, and that's what kind of makes it interesting for me. At least I feel like it's interesting for everyone that does work in law because they do want to, solve these problems that these people have. Car crash, call Josh. That's it. Problem solved. Call Josh. But that's what kind of makes me come in every morning. I come in and I have to solve a bunch of problems, and it's fun because I'm actually kind of good at it. So
You are good at it, man. And it's funny that we've never had that conversation before, but that's exactly how I define it as well.
Yeah.
Every single day here is completely different than the last.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of different jobs, man. And I've worked in a lot of different areas of the law.
Mhm.
And truly, this is my favorite. And there are a lot of fun areas of the law where you're problem solving and you're helping people. Like, I can't think of a situation, working for people
Yeah.
in the law that you're not problem solving. But a lot of people are scared of, I don't know what I don't know.
Mhm.
And what a lot of people should be focused on is the people that you're helping know less than you do, and any help that you can be is helpful.
Yeah.
And so, I always recommend attorneys or paralegals just donating time to clinics. That's something that I've been a really vocal proponent of. And, when you're not studying, I'm probably going to be on you to do some clinics with me because you do know a lot already.
Yeah.
And doing the work of solving problems is not the same as reading a textbook.
Yeah.
It's not the same as listening to a lecture.
Mhm.
But when you have someone in your office or over the phone or in a clinic crying and upset and dealing with domestic violence or dealing with their medical bills being too high or all of these, my back still hurts. I've been going through treatment for 7 years. What's going on?
Yeah.
All these different things that people have to deal with. These are
Yeah.
real people, and you're helping them for the better. And it's so powerful when you're able to do it,
Yeah.
that it becomes an addiction.
Yeah.
It's like the most exciting part
Mhm.
of my day. I wake up stoked to come to work.
Yeah. Same. Same. It's fun.
That's why
Love
you
it.
belong here, bro.
Yes, sir.
So when you pass the bar,
Mm-hmm.
because
When
we
I
know it's
pass away.
inevitable,
Yeah.
when you pass the bar, you got to put that out
Put
in
it
the
into
world.
manifestation.
First try, by the way. You're going to pass first try. What's the plan after that? You mentioned, and I didn't know what my plan was when I was in law school, and 3 years is a long time, so you might change that plan. But right now,
Yeah.
what are you thinking?
Like I said earlier, I was definitely thinking a career path in sports management, sports law. I'm definitely gonna keep that in mind still. But being in the personal injury side, you've definitely opened my mind to it a lot more. Because not just the money side, but it's always that problem solving part, and that's always something I've been good at. Like just being vocal with working in a group, as like especially being able to work well with others and not just being so one-minded on one thing. You're always listening to everybody else, and so I think just working in a team is going to be very beneficial, and owning my own company would definitely help others as well because of the things I could bring to the table. So definitely getting into personal injury, definitely hopefully sports law as well. I do want to go into sports law, but you've opened my mind to the personal injury side, and that's definitely been on my mind as to what I want to do after law school, and maybe who knows, I'll come back and work for you.
You're always welcome, brother.
Yes, sir.
Do you think of yourself as an entrepreneur? Would you want to open your own firm? Would you prefer like working for someone else where you maybe have a better work-life balance? What strikes you about that question?
I think for me, being an older brother has kind of made me a natural born leader. So I think an entrepreneur route I would want to take, just because I feel like I do have leadership qualities. I definitely want to open my own firm, but I know there's a lot that goes into it. What kind of advice would you give?
Well, there's probably enough there for an entire other podcast episode, but speaking from just like an overarching bullet points kind of thing, um, when I took the leap and opened my own firm, I left a full-time job with benefits and retirement and set schedule, and I had a plan, and I knew that I would be better on my own than working a 9 to 5 for someone that didn't care. And that's the kind of leader I want to be, is someone who's passionate about what they do, who cares about the people that work with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great to hear that that's, apparent in our relationship. And that's really a hard thing to find in other people. There's a lot of people just looking to work a set schedule and head home. And I'm looking
Yeah.
for the passionate people like you who are going to say, I'm on it, yes, boss, and go get the job done.
Yeah.
And that's kind of hard to find. And it's really important because these are people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hire someone who's going to be like, hey, man, it's 5:02. I'm off. Sorry, deal with it.
Yeah.
I want someone who's going to say the job's not done. I need to get the job done.
Yeah.
And that's something that our clients have grown to expect from us here, and something that sets our firm apart from other firms.
Do you feel threatened by AI? Like, do you think it'll take over what you're doing now?
I think the law is like the slowest industry to respond to technology. I think COVID forced us to have legal proceedings via Zoom. And if not for COVID, there wouldn't be cameras in the courtrooms. Judges still are having a hard time doing this stuff. So I don't think, at least in my lifetime, maybe yours, you're a little bit younger, that AI is going to replace us. I do think that firms that can incorporate technology will be able to utilize tools that other firms simply don't know how, and they'll be able to be more efficient and more competitive. And the firms that don't use that technology will fall away. There's no way to be competitive without embracing this technology, but I don't think it's ever going to replace the need for a smart legal mind. It's just going to enhance what you can do in an 8-hour day.
Yeah. I know you've been involved in social media a lot more. What would you say is the some good advice as to how you could get clients from that aspect of the business? You know, like you say word of mouth a lot is very important as to how we get clients and stuff like that. So how would social media play into that?
Well, I think the most important part of running a business social media is to be genuine. And a lot of people just post, happy President's Day and stuff like that. And that's their whole social media presence, is to just like take a Canva image and make a post. And that's what they're paying a social media manager to do or whatever. But social media content is not genuine just because you posted something. It's genuine when you're getting to know this business. And this podcast is intended to be a resource for people who want to learn about our firm and learn about me and learn about businesses that are adjacent to us. And so finding a way to give your authentic, true self to the world via social media is the key, in my opinion, to social media marketing. Thanks for being on the podcast, Isaac. You can head back to work.
Thank you for having me. I'll report back.
All right. Thanks.